Good evening. How are you all?
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Why don't I say a prayer and then we'll continue on. Father, thanks so much for this night and for this gathering of people that are interested in writing, love to write, are afraid to write, are eager to write. Lord, for whatever you've brought us all here for, God, I pray that you would be glorified in everything we do, everything we say. I pray that you would give us your wisdom as we go forward with the things that are on our hearts. Reach lots of people and reach the world through our writing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Great. Well, welcome. We're actually at the 6th session of our online Christian Writers Group. Can you believe it? That's half a year has gone by already. We started in January, and I have 12 episodes planned once a month until the end of the year. We may continue after that, but my main goal was to just help you move forward in your writing, whatever it is. I love just hearing people's stories of their life, their Christian faith, and I would love to flood the world with all kinds of stories of uh, uh, with a Christ-like view of the world. So whether you're writing your memoirs, whether you're writing something that would be more a fiction type of thing, whatever your writing might be, um, I just love to see more and more people be enabled and equipped to write. And so we've looked at several different topics over the months, different aspects, creating your interior, why you write, all kinds of different things. And tonight we want to look at creating your cover. And so a lot of what I do is self-publishing. I create some of my own books and then I upload them to Amazon, and I have Amazon just print them when people order them, and they ship them out around the world for me, and that's really nice. And so I love all the aspects of writing and creating, and I love all the design things. I was looking at a book tonight that I got in 1993 called Looking Good in Print. Oh, maybe it's on my bed there. And it's uh, a book about desktop publishing, and this was written in 93, so that'd be 27 years ago or so. But I remember working with Bridget, who's on our call tonight too, at a major corporation. We worked in the computer department, and oh, you have it too, Bridget. Great. And we uh, this was all about desktop publishing because prior to the mid 80s, you couldn't create your own newsletter, your own magazine, your own book. You had to. This was for the realm of people in, they would actually cut and paste by literally cutting a photograph and pasting it onto something else and mocking up your whole book. I remember flying to New York for our company that Bridget and I worked for, and I showed some of these desktop publishing programs that I recreated one of our company newsletters for them on my computer, and I walked into their offices at the corporate headquarters, and I said, people around the whole company could now actually create on their own company on their own desktop computers what you are creating up here in New York. They were a little flabbergasted. They weren't that thrilled about it. They didn't think people would ever be able to catch on to it. And they showed me their process, and I showed them, the most recent company newsletter that I had created on my computer, and they were pretty amazed. And of course, desktop publishing and creating your own everything has taken off since then. So I've been in this for a long time. I just love all the aspects of it. I'm glad for questions. I can't say that I'm still the best at it. But I love doing it. I love looking at it, and as Bridget can attest, we read a lot of good stuff back then, too. And it still holds true today. I'm going to share one of my main tips with you, just for creating a striking graphics and striking covers for your book. And then I've invited Ethan Bleasy. Ethan, if you want to say hi. And he is a friend of mine. He was initially a friend of my son's, and they uh, did life together and homeschooled together. And he has gone on to get a 4-year degree in graphic design and art. And so he's going to share a few art and design principles with you tonight, just from an artist's perspective, a designer perspective. And then We'll also I'll come back and I'll share some specifics of how you can actually create a cover on your own computer, whether you use a software like canva.com, which is free, that you can go and create your graphics, or you can use your own word processor, or whatever you want to use. But I'll show you a few of those things and how, specifically on Amazon, on the kdp.amazon.com website, you can use their cover creator too. So hopefully this is not intimidating. Hopefully this is more encouraging than anything. But I also realize that it can be a new territory for you. So I don't want to discourage you. But what I'm excited about is that you guys may be at the point where you're creating your covers for your books. And sometime this year, you'd actually be able to get it published. And that's my hope, by the end of the year, that you really have a project under your belt and get a good feel for how this all works, the whole process, so you can keep doing it over and over and over. So that's the night. We're going to talk this first hour about creating your cover. Then after that, we'll spend the second hour just going into whatever you would like to talk about on your book projects, and where you are and any questions you have. And would love to talk about that. My one tip, and I think it came from this book, Looking Good in Print, is to have one dominant theme. One dominant theme. And, there's lots of different design, they're not rules, but, suggestions. And Ethan will give you several tonight. But we talked to this morning too, and there's a lot of people have different philosophies. But the one that I try to follow a lot is just what's one dominant theme that you can bring out in your book. And this was a book that I just did this last month, and we were looking at some of this. It's my stories of faith, and I had written about 50 stories, just 2 or 3 pages of how God has worked in my life over the years. And I feel really egotistical putting myself on the cover. I've written about 25 books or more. This is like number 26, 27, 28 I've got here on my desk that I've finished just in the last few weeks. But I just love writing, love writing. But I talk about this Mini Cooper in my book, and so I couldn't decide between, on the cover I used that, and on the back I used a painting that I made of my Mini Cooper, and the title is "O Ye of Mini Faith," because I just didn't have faith that I would ever have a Mini Cooper, and now my family has 3 of them. And I just tell some of these stories that are not like about how to get stuff from God. That's not what it's about, but it's just to say, God, you blow me away with the things that you do. And so it's just my stories of faith. I felt like, okay, let's put myself on the cover and let's just go with it. And so I did it. So, but there's one dominant theme here. The whole book is about faith, and I tell a particular story, and it is my stories of faith. And so I put at the top, you can see there's like a gray bar. You might not be able to see it, and a gray bar at the bottom. And this is common in a lot of my books. Oh, I don't know if you mind grabbing me a few of my books off the shelf there, and the CDs even at the top to the right. But I'll show you some of those. But this is another one that I've just finished in the last few weeks, and Ethan actually designed this cover for me, and it's 365 Daily Devotions with Eric Elder. I wish my handwriting looked that good, but I really found a font that looked really nice for a signature. And so I said, "Oh, I really like that. It makes it very personal, even though I don't write like that, but it's fine." But I had told him some ideas, and he'll talk about it specifically, what I was going for with the look for this. But it's actually a big book. It's 365 devotions that I've written over the years, but I put them all in one volume. But there's one dominant theme here. You see the house and the flowers. I guess those are dandelions, but they look very floral. These are some of my other books over the years. This is just the top 20 passages in the Bible, and you'll see I pick up. Got the scripture, and you might not be able to see this very well, but there's a ring and a shadow with a heart, and so it's all about the Bible. And there's that stripe at the top, a color stripe, and a color stripe at the bottom. And this is a devotional on the book of Exodus, and it's got just scenery, colorful scenery. Book on 2 weeks with God, and it's just got a color. So whether you like this style or not, I've written a series of devotionals, and so they all have the same look and feel to them. It's a nature picture with different color stripes. So anyway, we can go on and on. But I do the same thing with a series of CDs that I produce for myself and my sister. And so this is a CD of piano music. We do a lot of piano music, and so we just have created a series over the years. They all have the same stripe at the top, stripe at the bottom. It's just sort of a way to distinguish what I do, and these are all called like 100% pure piano, or inspiring 100% pure inspiration, or but anyway, there's some themes through it. But
Eric, I had a question.
yes,
The stripes,
yeah,
was that to make it all, I think you just said it, but is that to make them all look consistent, or is
yeah,
that to set off the rest of the cover, or what was the purpose of the stripe on the top, stripe on the bottom?
yeah. It was just to be a series, so it would look like a series, and they'd all have a consistent thing. It also gave me some room to write things in a different. It's really sort of hard to see here. I am very subtle with my text and everything. I'm very low key, and I'll talk about that later. My style is very relaxed and reserved. I'm not a big in your face bright fonts, but you can't even read what my title is probably because it's so low key. But yeah, that's what it's for. So that's my one thing is just to pick one dominant theme and sort of run with it, and we'll talk more about that. But something that would be striking, catch your eye, and help you to sort of define your look. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Ethan, who has some more great design tips for you. And Ethan Bleasy, uh, as I said, he was a friend of my kids. I actually performed his wedding a year ago, maybe last week,
Mhm.
right? And a
Yeah, just about. It's been a couple of weeks now. Just
couple weeks.
skipping by very quickly, but yeah.
Yeah, we had a beautiful, beautiful ceremony out in the woods, and I was so happy to do his wedding and with his wife. And I had just gone through my heart attack, and
Yeah.
about 3 months later, and I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do it. So you were my first public anything that I did, and I was able to stand up for 20 or 30 minutes and get you guys together. So I'm glad.
Yeah.
So Ethan,
We're very thankful you were able to do that.
you have a Bachelor of Arts degree in graphics design from Concordia University in Wisconsin. You've also taken classes from Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, which is one of the top 10 design schools in the country. And Ethan, I'm just going to let you say anything else you'd like to, and talk a little about design and why it's.
Alrighty. Yeah, so I helped Eric with that cover that he showed you, and it was actually it worked out really well because we were talking about what theme we wanted to do for that one, and sort of like he was talking about, do I want to use my picture for this one, and I don't really want to, and then I was like, actually, I think I have a picture that I took of your house like 3 years ago that would work really well, and so fortunately we were able to use that picture and it ended up looking really nice in there. But yeah, I figured I would just go through. There's If you just like Google design principles, you're going to find all sorts of lists that are going to generally echo the same sentiment. So what I try to do is just sort of boil it down to 5 things that I generally pay attention to, and things that, like, when I learned about them, it was sort of the kind of thing that I think everybody sort of pays attention to and sees without realizing it. And as aspiring writers and successful writers as you all are, you've probably been through Barnes and Noble and you've seen all different covers and you've looked at all that kind of stuff. So you've probably got a pretty good idea of what kind of covers are out there and those types of things. Um, but I'll go through and just talk about some different things, and I will share my screen as well. I'll make sure that everyone can see it. It may have Zoom over in the corner here, but can you guys currently see the screen?
Yep, I see it. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So I'll just go through and use some pictures I found, because that way I can just give you an example of some visual things, since we're talking about visual design. The first one that I want to talk about was a big thing is hierarchy, and this is one that you look at a design and you think, okay, what is it about this that makes it pop? How do they give the emphasis to things? And looking and seeing kind of like how the different pieces are balanced around the book cover, and just like any design that you've enjoyed, even if it's like a logo with a bunch of information and things like that. And hierarchy is essentially one of the most important concepts of design, which is basically arrange things in a way that you can tell sort of what's at the top of the totem pole and what's at the bottom and what's most important. and how you draw, how things draw your eyes and all that kind of thing. The other thing too that I should mention is, as I kind of go through these, I'll probably repeat myself a lot because all the pieces are working together all the time. So as you can see in the image that I have shared here is a good example of just a before and after of, you can put a couple things together on an image and you can give them some good colors and it can look overall pretty good, but the image on the right is just automatically more effective simply because you have a different sizing for things. And especially when you have something like a whale, like imagery that's very obviously supposed to be larger or is supposed to be dominant, then you can see those things more in the when you use like a light color like that in the background, it also catches your eye a little bit faster because there's a little bit more contrast between the items. So whether you're putting your title in a specific place, or you want the house to show up on a book cover or something like that as the most important item because you're kind of there's an idea or like a message behind it that you're going for. Arranging things in a way that allows the reader to, or the viewer to go from point A to point B, essentially, especially knowing that we tend to read things from left to right in our general, Western book design. That's sort of how you deal with hierarchy. It's just setting things up in a way that you can logically make sense of it. And it's not like you're just bombarded with all this information, unless of course your book is about chaos, in which case that might work, but organized chaos is even more useful. So another thing is, as you can sort of see here, I can sort of talk about colors. And colors I've always been one to design in a lot of black and white because I've never felt super confident with colors. And then as soon as you put colors into something, even if you're like, okay, I like the use of colors and you throw them on something, it always makes a very big difference. So it's definitely worth something to consider, and it helps you set your mood. For instance, the picture we're looking at right now, it's something that's obviously water-based, so blues make the most sense. But if you were trying to show this picture and you're trying to do something more like this other picture I have, which is obviously a little bit more of a mystery or real life situation, whatever it may be, crime, you're using dark colors, you've got a striking red, and this too deals with hierarchy where your eye is immediately drawn to the white in the image, and then because her face is pointing upwards, you actually will probably look at the title next. And sort of get an idea, and it sets the picture as the title says right there. But the colors set the mood pretty quickly, because even if you were looking at if this wasn't your first language and it was characters that you had never seen before, chances are you could get an idea that it's dark, it's serious, it's dealing with something real, and rather than it's not a bubbly self-help book per se. And the other thing that and I have another image that I wanted to show here with color that's an interesting one. It also deals with hierarchy, is this book cover. And I really like this particular style. I'm a very, I like not necessarily modern so much as minimalism. Sort of like Eric was saying, just keeping things simple and keeping it straightforward tends to be very striking. And a lot of modern book covers are that way. And there's another couple other ones that I'll show you as we go that are a really good example of that. But like this cover, I mean, you're essentially dealing with three elements. You've got the name up top, the title, we can assume the title of the book at the bottom, and whatever they're trying to display, even though I'm not totally sure exactly what it is. It looks like 2 to 3 people in the center, but it's evocative because there's just a lot of extra space. So it immediately draws your eyes to the elements that are on the page, and pretty much gets you looking at what they want you to look at without a huge bombardment of things. And white space is a really important thing in design to use because we like it as people. We like to look at empty space for some reason. It draws our eyes, especially when there is a clutter of information. So that's one way that you can sort of use your hierarchy as well to point people where you'd like them to go. And then another one of the big things, and I feel like this is one that a lot of people wonder about, and as designers, we're constantly trying to figure out what the right type is that you want. And I think that sort of like I was saying, if you go to like Barnes and Noble or any bookstore at all, and you just wander through the sections, pick stuff up, you'll get a pretty good idea generally of how styles are all separated up and what kind of type is generally used for different things. Like if you've got I have this other one here, it's like a sci-fi or fantasy novel, it's pretty much a guarantee that you're going to see some sort of type like this that has whimsical ends and there's lots of loops, or there's, striking curves and things like that that give you, like I said, just sort of like a whimsical, magical feel almost. And, it depends a little bit on the genre as well. But whereas if you're dealing with like a like a modern, trying to think of a good example, a lot of more modern books that, maybe like a modern love story or something like that won't necessarily be using this type of this particular type style. And typography is an interesting one too, because, like in the case of this one, they're using it to be very striking. And once again, hierarchy, you look right at the center, it's the big thing. We've only got two colors. It's very dramatic, very bold. But they've used variants where you have in the center, you have what's called a sans serif. So it doesn't have any of the little, sort of hard to describe, but if you look at letters and you see the little like wings off of the different ends, those are called serifs. And sans serifs don't have any of those on them. But usually if you pair those two together, then you have contrast, because then it's very obvious what the different ones are. And there's a lot of, generally, if you look up like type combinations, say you're working on your own cover and you want to just pair two types together and you have no idea what you want to do, but you just want to get two that look good, you can generally Google those types of things, and there are lists that list common type pairings, because there's a lot that everyone in the design world is known for using that just go together, and they've used them forever, and they'll always look good. Yeah, use of type it's an interesting one, because like I said, a lot of these themes kind of run together, but it helps you set your mood, and gives the viewer an idea of what they're looking at the moment they look at it. It can, at least. And then I was glad that Eric mentioned this at the beginning, because one of the most important things that you can do for your covers, and this can go for your general style as an author in Eric's case, depending on what kind of books you're writing, if they tend to be in the same subject or just, but basically the point is repetition and having a dominant theme is super, super helpful. So if you have, the front of your book looks like this, and then the inside has, lots of stars, or like little flowers to designate paragraphs, or it's using a very whimsical type, it doesn't really work super well, because you don't have a consistent dominant theme that runs throughout all of them. Chances are this book is going to have a lot of different sections that are, having not read it, I can't say exactly, but chances are this book has a lot of very design heavy sections where they're being very bold and in your face, and they're separating the ideas in a way that is very clear and easy to digest and things like that, which may be a little different depending on what kind of book you're writing. If you're writing a story or something like that, like autobiographies and things, those will generally have a little bit different of a style than, once again, like say this one, that's more of a self-help book or a how-to book, and that all entirely depends on what your book is about and what the style is. And that kind of brings me to the last major point, which is I think one of Eric's main points with having this whole group is basically, what is your story and what sort of message are you trying to get out there? What's the story you're trying to tell? Who is it about, and who do you want to get it to? Because speaking as a designer who tends to like my own ideas a lot, and I don't say that in a arrogant way, but like I come up with ideas, and I like to work on my own ideas, my own concepts. And I suppose in a way, that's a lot of what writing is. You're wanting to tell your story. It's important to know who will read the story and like who you want to, because if it's just for you, I mean, that's great. You can do all sorts of stuff with that, but really knowing how to effectively communicate your idea starts with knowing like who you'd want to get it out to and what the main story is. So kind of pairing that with your cover and just considering what kind of, just at the very base of it all, just like what's the story you're trying to tell, and what is the message you want to get out. Because if you do sit down with a designer, and because you're not sure where to start and you just want to get some ideas or something, that's one of like the main things they, in my opinion, should be asking you, at least. Just is, what are you trying to do with this? What do you want people to know? Because then that allows them to work out of basically your heart and understand what the goal is, and have an idea from you personally. And if you don't know, that's what people are here to help for. That's what writing groups are like this for as well. But it's definitely an important question to ask yourself. And so those are, hopefully I didn't go through anything too fast. And like I said, it would be, it's helpful to look this stuff up for yourself and do some Googling. And what I can do is I can work with Eric, and we can write up a summary of some of this too, to send out to everybody, just so that you have something to reference back to. If you can watch the video again as well. And if anyone has any questions about any of those things, or how it may apply specifically to books, you can definitely, I'm not sure exactly what Eric has planned here, but you can go ahead and ask me now, or you can, send me an email. We can share all that information later too. But Eric, it looked like you were going to say something.
Great.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if you want to stop sharing your screen, and I just want to walk through and sort of summarize the 5 main points that you said. The first one was hierarchy. And the idea behind that is, what do you want people to see first? Is that right? And then next, and then next. So you want to sort of map out what's the most important thing. The second thing you talked about was color. Is that right? And so color, just those choices can be, just the choice of color you make makes a difference. It's I had read that George Lucas, whenever he makes his Star Wars movies or any of his movies, the very first thing he does is defines the color palette for the entire movie. What colors are all the costumes, the lands, the world's going to be. He defines all the colors, and that sets the theme for everything. So your colors are very important. They sort of define and set the tone. Like you had that striking woman who had, obviously been murdered or something, and it's just, those are going to be starker, more harsh colors than maybe mine, which are very flowing and relaxing and devotional, like meditational thoughts. The third thing you said was a typography, and that's just the importance of your type style and your font. And I remember Steve Jobs had quit school at Berkeley or Stanford or one of those, but the one thing he did, he sat in on a typography class, and he said that class defined more of Apple Computer than most anything else he ever took in college, because it really set the standard for the style he wanted to go for. And so these things matter. Fourth thing you said, style, is that what you said? Style?
The fourth one was kind of coming around to, and style was in there, but the fourth one was coming on to the repetition and dominant theme that you mentioned.
Repetition and dominance. Okay, repetition and dominant theme. So just bringing out those themes throughout your whole book, interior, exterior, and make it match what you're trying to get across. And the fifth one I have written down here, demographics. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, demographic, and sort of like the story, and just like who you'd like to get your message out to, and like knowing that message, I suppose.
Yeah. Great. And I had shown Ethan this morning a book I designed for Dennis Jernigan. He's a singer-songwriter, and he's written many books. But I was talking to him one day about his projects, and he said, "Oh, I really want to publish this book, and I know you self-publish things. Could you help me?" So he sent me a picture that he wanted to use, and he gave me a title, The Short Life, and his name and his photograph and things. So he wanted a little book. So I said, "Oh, we can create a little book. I can use all that." And you can tell that I did it in an Eric Elder style. It's a very almost soothing, calming. Ethan said he looked at it and was like, "Oh, it must be a nice memoir kind of book." But actually it's supposed to be a suspense thriller. And Dennis liked what we had, but when he showed it to other people, he had someone else redesign it, one of his publishers, and this is what his book ends up to be now, which is not Eric Elder's style at all, but it looks like every suspense thriller you see at the supermarket, right? It's got big, bold Michael Crichton or whatever it is, Dennis Jernigan, The Short Life, and this dramatic picture of the plane and what's going to happen to him. He's on this flight, it's going to crash. So, just I actually read his book and thought it was he had so many touching points that he only had 30 seconds to live and his whole life flashed before his eyes. And he just went through story after story, very reflective. So to me, it was a very reflective book, but to him, it was a very thriller suspense. But you can see the difference. And, I like both of them. I think I like mine and I like the other ones. So a lot of it depends on who you're trying to reach and what kind of message you're trying to send. Any questions for Ethan? He does a design business. He's worked for different companies where he does graphic design. He does a freelance on the side called Bleasy Artworks, Bliese Artworks with an S, right?
Yep.
BleasyArtworks.com, or just his name, EthanBleasy.com. It'll take you the same place.
Could you spell that again, please?
Ethan, you want to spell it?
Yeah, B as in boy, Liese. And then Artworks is ARTWORKS.
And you can see some of his design work there and the kinds of things he likes to do. And the purpose of this group and the whole thing is just to sort of help network people and get you comfortable. If there's things you have questions, Ethan said he's glad to, if you want to email him questions, or you can ask him questions.
Yeah, and if you just general questions or just a little something you may need help on design wise, something like that, I'm open to just about anything. Anywhere I can help would be great. I just like helping people with this stuff, especially the more finer points, things like book covers, and some people may just not know who to go to or things like that. You can also go to Eric because he's a mastermind. He knows all this stuff, but I'm definitely available if anyone needs it.
Great. Anyone have questions for Ethan at this point? Questions about just the whole design principles?
I was wondering if Ethan had any pictures of memoirs.
Pictures of memoirs. That's a good question. We could probably, I don't have any at the moment. You could probably find some. That's a good one that you could Google. And that's something I could look up and find to share with you if you wanted. But I don't have any at the moment, no.
Thanks.
I really liked his solution for my daily devotional book. I had a hardcover book of it printed too, just showing you at lulu.com, Lulu.com. And because it's such a large book, it's 657 pages. And when I got the paperback version in the mail, I thought, if someone uses this every day, it's probably going to get worn out. And so maybe they'd like a hardcover. And this one actually costs like $18 maybe to print a hardcover like this at my cost. And so then you can sell it. And I'm selling these for $27 and I'll make $5 profit. But on my paperback, because it's so many pages, it's also, I think I can buy them for myself for like $8, but to buy them on Amazon, it's about $22 because Amazon takes a portion of the sale. So it's about $5 difference, so 22 or 28, 27 or 28, and people can have a choice of a hardcover or a paperback. But the reason I mentioned this for Ethan, when he created this for me, on the back, I had a little picture of me, and I was flipping through all my pictures of me and thinking it's daily devotions with Eric. How do I get across? This is a devotional with Eric. And so I thought about using this. I have a larger picture of this, of me standing in front of a library. It's a nice picture for just saying, here's a intelligent, intellectual Christian person. So I had shown Ethan that, and I'm like, I just feel really self-conscious with that on the cover. I don't know if every day that people want to look at my face and have to deal with that. So I said, if there's something that was representative of me, though, that's still tied into Eric Elder, if there's anything that comes to your mind. And so he thought of this picture that he had, and it wraps around to the back. You can't really see because it's covered by that big white box, but it was a nice wide picture that went across the whole page. And so we wrapped it all the way around the back. And it is my house, and it's sort of a scenic and restful scene. And then I put the little picture of me, which feels much more tasteful and not so bold. But Just that there are some things that are personal to you. I put the signature on too that sort of gave a little signature of me, you know. So Melanie, just your question of memoirs, how do you draw attention to this is something about me, but maybe not quite going so overboard and putting, yourself in a convertible on the cover, which I think it just makes me laugh because I just never put my pictures anywhere on my books, but for
I
some
will
reason,
say, however, that if there's one time you're going to put yourself on the cover, it makes sense for a memoir, and a autobiography or something like that about yourself.
thanks. And I think I did a CD cover for a friend of mine who plays the guitar, and he was a little self-conscious about having his picture on it, but so I just ran it through a little filter that made it look a little stylized, like a cartoon illustration drawing of him. So it's him playing the guitar, but it's it backs off just a little bit to make it look more like a painting and illustration rather than just here's this, here I am. uh, so I think there's a lot of ways you can achieve a personal look for a memoir. Um, those are just my thoughts, and but I think searching it out and working with someone like Ethan who might have some ideas, he did a great job for me. Other questions about design and illustration?
I have a question. So for a children's book that I'm doing, I'm thinking of doing watercolor for the illustrations and perhaps for the cover, but I had concerns about how well that was going to reproduce if I self-publish on Amazon.
Give me just 1 second. I'm going to grab my sister's book in which she did the exact thing. It's right here on the shelf.
Picture of St. Nicholas. Yeah, and they do very nice, full lifelike, they're beautiful. You can choose glossy or matte finish, and that can make a difference whether it pops or whether it's a little more subdued.
Eric can definitely speak more to just the general experience with Amazon, but my sister's book, she had it completely illustrated by someone she knew, and it was all watercolor. They did a really good job. You can try to make sure you guys can see it here. Very well made. The quality was really good, and they were trying to remember. She showed me they were pretty big overall in size when the artist made them for her. And they ended up reproducing really well because and I don't, I'm not sure, Eric, if you have any experience with doing any watercolor or anything like that, feel free to chip in. But I know that what my sister did was she took the original watercolors and treated them very, very carefully since they were, one of a kind originals. And she took them and got them scanned. I think she did it, I'm trying to remember if she used FedEx Office or went somewhere else, but she got them scanned as high quality as possible, and then was able to pretty much reproduce them the way that they are. And if you do have any issues with something like that, there are different things that you can do with photo editing and whatnot, just to clean things up and make sure they look the way they're supposed to. But it can most definitely be done. And I wish I could show you guys this in person, but having seen the original ones, which were very, very large, and now the ones that she printed in this book, it works very, very well.
Did she do that through Amazon? Did she do it through Amazon too, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
she did. Yeah, because my mom had done it with her book, so she just assumed she would do it the same way, and it all turned out really nice. And this one too, it's fairly simple as it is a children's book. It's designed for very little kids, but I did all of the text layout for her as well, which there's only one line per page, but just sort of going through it and figuring out the best places to put certain ones. In this one, she's got she goes uphill and then she goes downhill. So I just tried to arrange the text in a way that sort of like we were talking about the hierarchy, it just sort of follows along the path. But so yes, long answer to your question, but it can definitely be done and looks very good.
What's the title of her book and her name, your sister?
This one, my sister's name is Heidi Doddick, and the title of the book is Stella.
Okay, great.
Very, very cute kids book. I like it a lot.
Nice. And these are just some CDs that I've created that Amazon prints them also. But we did watercolors, and they just come out really vibrant and striking for the cover of a CD. Here's another one of a painting that we had done. But there are some things that you can do to make it pop even more. And Ethan and I were going through with my book a couple of my books this week that I learned more about some of these. There's some filters that are on the that are automatically attached to certain files, and Amazon disregards those, and so they look vibrant on my computer, but when they print it out, some of them this week came back really pale. And I thought, wow, I really thought I uploaded my most vibrant picture. And then I did some reading, and they said you have to remove a color palette, and there's some technical details. So if you're not getting the quality you want, Ethan or myself, we can look at your files and your pictures and see, there's something that can be done. Because I was amazed that the book covers that I had, they first came back just a little pale, and I was like, why are they so pale? Because usually Amazon does really bright, vibrant things, and it turned out it was the software I was using.
I have a question real quick. Is this your website?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Very new. I just put that up probably like a month ago to the public. So
yeah, test it out. Hit all his links. See what's working and what's not for him.
I have a question.
Yeah, Cami.
My novel is historical fiction set in the Civil War, and it kind of has I always aim towards like Willa Cather. She's one of my favorite authors, and I don't know if you can see this in the screen, but
yeah.
It's kind of a pastoral look, fields, and my novel, has a lot of weather in it. It has a character who walks in graveyards, and I just want kind of that pastoral look. But any pictures I would have myself would be more modern, and I don't know if they would work unless I just went out to a field. But like, if you were to design a cover for me, where would you get the images? Is there a place you go online to find a lot of them that are not copyrighted, and then you just put things together?
That would be Eric. You want to answer that one? Because I can sort of give some answers, but I'm not sure where you've gotten your pictures, and I'm assuming you've probably gotten them from stock photo websites and things like that. So you probably have a little bit more experience using those for books.
Yeah, I've bought some that when my sister and I do CDs, we go to iStock Photo, or there are a couple stock photography where you can buy them for like $15 or $20. Shutterstock.com, and you just pay one pretty low rate for an image. We just did one. I don't have a copy of it yet. Of a woman, a watercolor of a woman at a piano, a grand piano, and it's very beautiful. And her latest CD is called Playing Love, and so it looks similar to her, playing this beautiful grand piano. And rather than trying to figure out what we wanted to do, we just went to I think Shutterstock.com and got it. But Ethan actually, one of his fortes is photography, and he lives here in Normal, and so he loves doing photography, and he might be great at just going out someplace and shooting some things that might evoke some Civil War-ish nostalgic. We've got a lot of homes around the David Davis Mansion. There's a Funk's Grove farmhouse from the 1800s. There's a number of things just around central Illinois. I don't know if that would be what you want, but yeah, there are things you could just photograph but
then can you superimpose other things on them, like say kind of a silhouette of a woman, or say if you bought one of these on iStock or Shutterstock, then can you alter it any way you want to by superimposing other things on it?
Yeah, once you pay for it, you're legally able to do whatever you want with it, manipulate it, change it, add things to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I was going to ask too, if I can ask a second question here.
Sure.
Because of the cost of hardbacks, I guess it makes more sense to go through Amazon and do a soft cover. But if you want a few hardbacks for yourself, can you like use the same cover and the same interior and do the same thing on Lulu to get a small amount of books like what you did?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I just took the same cover file and the same interior, and I uploaded it there were a few different requirements. The cover photo had to be a little larger because it wraps around inside. You can't really tell, but it's, you know, it's got, and the cover is bigger than the, you know, it extends beyond. And so there's a few tweaks you have to do to your picture, but basically it's the same thing. And you can order one. I think I ordered this one. I think my cost maybe $15 or so. I'm trying to remember. I just ordered 2 more today, and it was about $30 to order 2 with shipping. And so, but unfortunately, to sell the hardcover, like from Lulu on Amazon, you have to charge quite a bit. About this one sells for about $50 on Amazon because they take a cut of whatever sells on Amazon. So you can order them at your author rate and have them just shipped to yourself, or you can ship them to people. But to list it on Amazon, I've just found hardcovers are really expensive. But I thought $15-20 for my price wasn't bad, you know. So
Yeah, but you can you buy the hardcovers directly from Lulu?
yeah, you just buy it directly from Lulu. You don't list it on Amazon at all if you don't want to.
Okay.
And there's a link on Lulu. So I think what I'm going to do is send people to my Lulu link if they want a hardcover, because I can sell it there for, I think it's $27.89 or something. But if I had them listed on Amazon, it was going to be $49 because Amazon's going to take a cut. So, but anyway, normally I don't do hardcovers, but for this one I felt like I needed the more, bound professional one. But I try to keep my costs low for my readers. I just want to do whatever I can to make the costs low for them. And if I make $5 per copy, no matter what the platforms, it's the same the way I price my Kindle books. I sell my Kindle books for like $7.99, and I get to keep $5, and Amazon keeps the rest. So even though it's a Kindle, so no matter what platform anybody buys it on, I get the same rate. So that's the way I do my pricing. Other people, Dennis Jernigan, he sells his for, I think he sells his for like $4.99, so he makes like $1. But he can sell a lot more than I can. So. But I'm happy with $5. It makes me feel good when $5 comes into my bank account, and I make $25-30 a month, on selling different books and things. And I it's a nice thing. I make a lot more on streaming music. Music industry, wow. It's a whole different world. But if I could figure out the book publishing to do the same thing, I would. I'm trying to crack that for myself.
Yeah, I kind of always wondered how you survived on selling self-published books.
No, I wouldn't survive. I wouldn't survive. I have now Bridget. She makes a living at this. She makes a living at writing, and we've talked before. And I interviewed her. Well, actually, we never got through we never got to all the. We started talking about personal lives, but I'll have a podcast of hers, which is very interesting about how she makes a living on it, because part of it is writing her own stuff, but part of it is helping other people write. Part of it is editing. Part of it is grading national tests for essays, for people going into college entrance exams. And so she's found a way to really make a living out of using her writing and her editing and all those skills, helping people publish their book and upload it. And I didn't mention last time, I didn't know that she's I knew she had launched her own publishing company, but she's getting more into that and helping people with projects. I think you said, Bridget, with projects you're helping them edit with, you're also helping them to get published. Is that right?
Yes, I've been doing it for years, but it's always been word of mouth. And so just recently have I started adding, getting a little bit more, I guess.
I see. Just offering it as a service to the public in general. That's new. But you've always done this for a long time, yeah.
Yes, and so that's just bits and pieces, stringing it to get together.
Bridget and I wrote newsletter articles for our company that we worked for, and we would send it out to tens of thousands of people, just write articles about technology and new computer things that are coming out, interesting things. And she would edit for me a lot, and so she's edited a lot of my stuff personally over the years too. But she's written a lot herself as well. So one interesting thing about our newsletter, we started a little newsletter about just new technology, and we would mail it out to people who wanted to know about new technology. And that reached, I'd say a handful, dozens, maybe up to 100 people who were interested in what we were writing about. But then we latched onto a corporate newsletter that dealt with computers in general, the whole everything, support, how to Microsoft Word, everything. And we just put one article in their newsletter that went out to 10,000 people every month. And so just by finding the right audience for your article, for your writing, you can expand exponentially. We're going to talk about that over the next few months too. How do you find your audience? How do you make the most of what you're writing? Because sometimes you work on your own mailing list, but if you can get on somebody else's mailing list and really expand it, it's there are lots of ways that you can help to get your writing in front of people. But Bridget's a great resource asset. She's been a huge help to me over the years.
Eric, I had a question on book covers.
Karen, welcome. How are you?
Oh, fine. Hey, I know you talked about watercolors, Ethan, and how that works, but I'm an artist as well, and I just thought I would draw for the book cover. So can I use colored pencil or Prismacolors or any type of media?
Essentially, yeah, just much like when we were talking about watercolor, as long as any physical media that you do like that, as long as you are able to scan it at a high quality to be able to put into a PDF and basically whatever your publisher or printer will need, because they always have their own different requirements. And, you know, if you have an idea of who you might go through, you can kind of look and see what those requirements are, because most of the time they're listed. But as long as you have a scanner, you can pretty much do whatever you'd like.
Are you also able to photograph things for people, Ethan? I mean, does that work, or is the scanning the better?
Generally, scanning is better, because with photographing, you will likely lose most of the texture and the quality. And, you know, like for instance, like watercolor, you know, you have it on watercolor paper, and those types of details that you get out of watercolor probably would not really show up if you just used a picture, especially because who knows what kind of lighting you're dealing with, or there's just a lot more variables that way, basically.
So Karen, I would take that into account when you decide the size of whatever you're going to draw or paint.
Right.
My daughter had some big paintings that I wanted scanned, and you know, I had to go to a professional publisher in town, and they had a big scanner, and they could scan it and, you know, get me. They actually had a camera, I think a camera on a tripod, and, you know, a whole setup to do.
Great display companies where I usually go.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So if you have a place that can scan it, just make sure. But I mean, if you're just using a personal scanner or something, you want to make sure your whatever it is.
If it's something small, can I go to like a Kinko's or something, or not?
Oh yeah, I would think so. I would
The
think
highest quality. And then once you load your picture for the cover, then you put your text on top, or?
Right. Yep. Once you have the picture, then you can put anything on it or manipulate it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And do you guys want to see a demo of, you know, just how I lay out my thing? I use Pages on my Macintosh, but I can show you how you do it on Canva or how to do it on Amazon.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
You would like to? Yeah.
That'd be helpful.
Okay. Because I'm glad to just show how that process works too. So.
And Eric, I'm going to need to go now.
Okay.
I get to go back to writing the memoir now.
How is your project coming, Melanie?
I'm 10 to 15 pages from the end.
Oh my gosh.
And thanks. This is the rewrite portion. And so putting in the edits and all that, and then going, oh, that's really bad. Get some clarity there. You know, that kind of stuff is where I'm at. So I'm only about 10 to 15 pages from the end.
Oh, I'm so glad for you. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. And I reached out to Ethan on his email, not his email, on his website, and put in my phone number there, because I'd really like to talk to somebody that Eric knows and trusts, you know, kind of thing, right? So.
Okay, great.
The email has been received already. So.
All right, excellent.
Great.
Excellent.
Great. Thanks for joining us, Melanie. We'll see you.
So good to see y'all. God bless you.
Bye-bye. Why don't we go to Canva, canva.com. It's a website where you can just create a free account, and you can create your graphics, and they have all kinds of fonts and stock photos and all kinds of stuff up there. So I'll share my screen here. This is a cover I'm working on this week, actually. I have a new book It's a script and score for a musical called His Name Was Nicholas. I've been working on it for many years, and I actually just finished it over the weekend. And so I'm really, really happy to have finally finished that. And I'm getting ready to upload it. So this is sort of my general design. My son had drawn this picture for me of one of the scenes from the book. Thanks, Elizabeth, for the clapping. Of one of the scenes for the book. And so I picked a nice font, as sort of a Christmassy looking font, and I'm putting it together here. So we'll try to create something with this on Canva. And I'll just go, hopefully you can see my screen here. And I go to Canva, canva.com. I am logged in already, so there's a button at the top that says create a design. And so I'll create a design. And you can search for things like a Facebook post, a logo, a flyer, a brochure, and they have all these things, a business card. But I'm going to use custom dimensions because I know what size my book is going to be. And so I'll type it in. But you might be asking, how do you know what the dimensions of your book are going to be? And so I'm going to go and show you where that is too. If you go to kdp.amazon.com, this is where I upload my books to Kindle Direct Publishing. I'm going to sign in there. And there's a book cover option here. It says you can create a cover using the cover creator or upload your own. I'm just going to do a search because they tell you how to find out exactly what dimensions, because you want to create a cover. The cover you're creating, if you can see on my window on the side, is going to be one big image from all the way from the top to the back and down, and the whole spine. Everything is just in one image. So you have to know how big your book is. This is a certain size, 5 by 8 or something, 5 by 8 inches. But then you need a little extra at the top, and they tell you how much, a 1/4 inch up here, and they need a certain much depending on how thick your spine is. So I'm going to look at Cover Calculator. I'm just going to search their website. Paperback cover resources. Here they have some ideas of a cover creator, or download one of our templates, or try our calculator. So one thing I'm going to do, let me download a template. And they tell you over here at the left, selection option, the trim size. And my book for my script and score, it's like piano music and the full script. It's going to be about this size, 8.5 by 11. So it'll be a big book, so people can open it up and play the piano, play the piano music from it. So I'm going to choose the size of my template. It's an 8.5 by 11 book. Then they wonder how many pages, and my book is about 294 pages. So I type that in, and the paper color, white or cream, or is it a full color book? And this makes a difference in how thick it is. Cream paper is a little thicker, and so the number of pages, it'll make your spine on the side bigger. So you have to know up front if you want it to be white or cream or color. So I'm going to go with white, and then download a cover template. I click that, and it's going to download this cover template. I click that. It's downloading it to my computer. I'm going to open it up. 8.5. And so now it's given me a little sample in PDF or PNG format. And you'll see here what it's generated for me. This is actually just one file. It shows exactly where the margins will be. So this on the right is going to be the front of your paper, the front of your book. You don't want to type. You don't want any text or anything in any of the pink area, and the black dotted line is where they're going to trim it. But they don't always trim it exact. It's not always exact and precise. So they give themselves a little leeway. So you want your cover to extend off, like to the top and to the right and to the left, and not be anywhere in the pink. Then on the back, they show you where the barcode is going to be. They'll put a barcode on your picture for you, so you don't have to worry about doing that, but you don't want to put any graphics down here or any text because it's going to be covered up with a barcode. They show you how big your spine is going to be. The spine is down the side, and so you're going to want your text to go up and down here. And it tells over here how wide the spine is, 0.68 inches, and white paper. They used to do this all simple in one graphic, but they actually make it a two-step process now because I want to know, well, just how big is it from left to right and top to bottom? So they actually have a different tool to do that, but I'll use this still later. But I want to click on their other button here that says try our calculator for calculating your dimensions specifically. So I'm going to click that. And it's downloading an Excel file for a paperback file calculator and a printing cost and royalty calculator. And so it's a little Excel file that I'm going to open here. It says enable macros because it's going to, and open as read only. It's going to actually let you type in here. It seems a little complex. Sorry, it used to be so much easier, but they've added so many features that now you can do so much. But it's a similar thing. You pick your paper style here, and there's a little drop-down menu. What's your ink? So this is cream or white or color ink. I'm going to say black and white with white paper. This is for the interior. The trim size, I want to change to 8.5 by 11. And then the page length is 294 pages. And then they'll give you a sample of what your manuscript, the interior should look like, or what your cover should look like. And so I'm going to click the cover. And they have just generated this similar to what we did, what I just showed you before. But this is much more detailed. It shows where your front cover is going to be over here on the right. If you zoom in, you'll see over here your margins from the very tip top to the very bottom is this outer dimension. The whole cover height is 11.25 inches. So I'm just going to write that down. 11.25 inches from top to bottom because it's an 11-inch book at 8.5 by 11, but you need an extra quarter of an inch for where they're going to trim it. Then at the bottom, it tells where the barcode is and the spine is, of course, but it also gives you the full cover width. It says it's 17.91 inches. 17 point, I'm just going to use those first two digits, 91. I'm not going to go all the way to 91209, but you can get that specific if you want. And it says this is for a trim size of 294 pages, 8.5 by 11. So those are the main numbers I need. I need that 11.25 up and down by 17.91 right to left. So now we can go back to Canva and where it said what's your dimensions, I'm going to change it to inches. And I'll say the width is 17.91 inches and the height is 11.25. And then I'll click Create a Design. So now it's created this big blank white space for me. The first thing I want to do is upload that template for myself so I can see where everything goes, because right now I don't know, where the spine is and everything. So over here at the left, it says you can upload a picture or you can search and you can find all, they've got all kinds of pictures out here. But I'm going to upload my own. So I have this 8.5 by 11, this little template. So I'm going to click that. And that's what I want to upload. I'm going to choose it. So let's put it over here at the left with all my other images. You can see my family there. Different pictures of my kids. All right, so it's uploaded. So I tapped on it and it just pops up over here. And I'm just going to drag the corners so it fills up this entire space. And it sort of snaps to, when I get to the edges, it snaps automatically right to the edge, so I can just do that. So now I can see what I'm doing. I'm not going to actually keep this graphic when I get to the end. I'll delete it, but at least now I can see what's happening. And now I want to put a picture on the right, so that the picture that my son drew for me. I'm going to upload another image. Nicholas. It shows that it's uploading here at the left now. He drew this on his iPad over a few days, and that's a beautiful medium to draw on too, because it can make nice, vibrant pictures. You can choose lots of effects like watercolors or pencil drawings or whatever you want to do. And then what I'll do is I'll start looking for fonts next and type my cover, and then I'll think of something that I want on the back, and we'll put that on. Then I'll put some text going down the side. And then what we'll do with this is just save this image. There's a download button at the top right that says download, and you just download it to your computer when you're done. So I'm just really designing the entire cover here myself. They have a cover creator on Amazon, and I'll show you that later, where it's all sort of does all this for you, but it's limited. It's to me, it's a little limiting in terms of fonts and where you can push things and do things, and I just like full control. So I like creating my entire cover in one big shot. So here it's done now, so I'm going to tap that and it pops over here. I'm going to shrink it so it fits on the cover over here. And I thought for a script, a script that you turn into producers or people like that, they're typically just black and white, very boring, plain print. So I'm just dressing it up a little bit, but I'm still keeping the black and white look. And now I want to type some text on here. I want to go to text at the left. Add a heading. I'm looking for something that's a little more Christmassy. These are all these different fonts. Let's take this Merry Christmas one. And see, it's got this Merry Christmas. Oh yeah, I can type on that. So I'm just going to grab that. I'm going to move you guys off here to the left. So now I've got this Merry Christmas font. My title is called His Name Was Nicholas. So I'm going to type that. His name was Nicholas. And of course it's sort of messy there. I'm going to try to change the font size. I'll drag over the entire thing. And up here there's a font size button. I'm going to choose something smaller. Let's do 56. There we go. So his name was Nicholas. I'm just clicking and dragging it around. And that will go up there. Of course, when I get rid of that graphic in the background, all that will go away. I'm going to use that same font and do my name and my late wife's name. Copy. And then I'm going to paste it. Okay, so now I have a second copy of that text. Put that down below. And I'll say bye, Eric and Lana Elder. I'm going to make that much smaller. This is going to be a big book, so it'll be a lot more legible when you see it in print. I don't want that from Samantha Howells under there, and I don't want that up there. That was just sort of the default that came with it. I'm going to move this template away, and you'll see what the cover would look like. So simple, straightforward. There's lots of effects you could add to your picture. Then you want some text down the spine. So this text here I'm going to add. I'll keep that same font. Actually, it's easier just to take one of these and copy and paste it because I like the size. So I'm going to right-click on it and say copy. Right-click on it again and say paste. So now I've got a second one. What you grab is always a little interesting. There's a rotate button here. So I can rotate the whole thing. And when you rotate your spine text, you want it to face so that when people lay it down on the table, they can see it. So, you know, if you're like this and you put it on the table and the cover's up, that's the way your spine's going to go. So it's, you know, My Stories of Faith with Eric Elder, because if it's face down and you can read it, that's great, but it's not. Hopefully your book will be face up. So that tells you which direction to go. And if I look at this closer, I want to make sure it's centered and it's not touching the pink anywhere. So I'm grabbing it. That size works pretty well. I could go a little smaller, but it's pretty close to not touching anything. So that's your spine text. And then we want something on the back. I'm just going to duplicate the same picture, copy and paste. And I want to type a little tagline. that we have for the book. I'm going to put it up here a little bit. And I'll use the same font here. I'm going to copy and paste this again. You could pick different fonts. You can see at the left there's lots of choices. But I want to type on here. Nicholas had just one life to live, but if he lived it right, one life was all he would need. And then I'll decide where I want that to be. Below the picture, above the picture. Maybe let's put it above. And really, I could be done at this point. You know, it doesn't have to be much more complicated than this. I can move this away, delete it, and then I click download up here. I'm actually going to delete this picture, delete that template. And I'll have a nice sort of black and white with a little bit of color. Download. And it asks what format do I want. I'm going to pick, you could pick PDF is what Amazon actually wants. So I'm going to download a PDF, and they have a print high quality version. So I want a high quality print PDF. And there's an option for crop marks or bleed, but you don't want to print that. And sometimes a printer will want that stuff in there, but Amazon does not want anything on your graphic. I just click download. It says it's preparing your design. And it gives me a file name, Merry Christmas. I'm going to change that to Nicholas cover, just so I remember, 8.5 by 11. For Amazon. And I'll save that. Now it's on my computer. I'll just open it to double check it. Nicholas for Amazon, there's the file. I pop it up here, and you can see there's my cover. Right side, the front, the down the spine, and the left. And then I showed in my last session how you upload that to Amazon. You go to kdp.amazon.com. When you create your book there, they'll ask you to upload your interior, they'll ask you to upload your cover, and so this is just that one step in the process. You would now have a cover. Let me go to kdp.amazon.com.
I've got a question. Have
Go
you
ahead.
ever done a cover for something and printed it and sold some, but then felt like that cover wasn't working and ever changed the cover?
Oh yeah, all the time, all the time. They're so cheap to print from Amazon. This book costs me $2.75 to print the whole. This is 156 pages, 158 pages. So I just upload what I want, and then I'll print 3 or 4 of these. I'll print this one, and I'll be like, oh, I don't really like the way the car looks on the back. I'd rather have the car wrap around the whole thing, you know. And so I try something else, and then I print another one. And you can do that unlimited times, you know, and even after you publish it, you can change your cover. So whenever you get sick of it and you want a different cover, just upload a new cover. And they print it when somebody orders it, so they don't have like a stock of 50 of them sitting there with the old cover. They'll have whatever you upload.
Yeah. So if something doesn't work out or something doesn't look right, you know, after you print it, later on you can change it. Okay.
Yep. It's
otherwise it's like when sometimes maybe make a decision to go ahead and just like print the thing, you know. It's like
that's what I do. I print drafts of all my books. I'll print, you know, I'll probably go through 3 or 4 drafts. When I do the St. Nicholas book, I'm trying to upload it today, even, you know, finish uploading all my script and score and the cover today, and I just want to get a copy in my hands. I'll have it back in 5 or 6 days, and it depends on what's, you know, it can take 2 or 3 weeks, but I just have Prime shipping, and I just pay the full price of my book because I get some of it back anyway, and it's cheaper than me going to Kinko's or cheaper than me using my toner cartridge.
Yeah. I thought that maybe the book cover has a lot to do with people's interest in what the book's about. I mean,
it does, yeah. Yeah, the book cover really matters. You want it to be right on. So, but yeah, you can keep uploading them. So let's sign in to kdp.amazon.com. I'm signing into my account. It's a free account you can create. And this is where you're going to upload your book. If you use them, you can use lulu.com or other places, but I've had great success with Amazon. It's free and reasonable. And let me just go ahead and create this paperback book of my St. Nicholas. And then I can go down here. I want black and white with white paper. The size, I'm going to select a different size. I want 8.5 by 11. No bleeds. Do I want a matte or a glossy? Do you guys want to vote? Should this be glossy cover or a matte finish?
I think glossy.
One for glossy.
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas. It's shiny and shimmery. Let's go with glossy. Upload the paperback manuscript. So I don't have that quite ready to go. I'll have that done later tonight. I just upload the PDF file. But here's the cover creator. So I'm going to launch the cover creator, or I could upload a cover I already have. And I could just click that upload cover, and I could upload the one that I just created on Canva. But I'm going to use the cover creator to make your book cover. I'll say launch cover creator. Get images for your cover. So I could pick images from theirs. They've got lots of images. I'm going to upload one from my computer, though. That's what I want. So I just uploaded that picture, and you see it's given me several templates here to choose from. So Cami, you can just pick one if you like. Which one do you like for this? And then we can change little pieces of it.
Maybe the one in the upper right. I don't know that if I like the orange on it though, on the top.
Yeah, so we can change those colors. And of course Nicholas he's not on the right, so I'd have to probably drag it over so he's over there and then put the other scene on the back or something. But yeah, so we can pick that. Let's see what happens. And then you can just change things in here, full script and sort. Click here to change the style. So I can just drag, and if I don't like that font, maybe let's see if they have anything a little more spectacular. This is a little more decorative. Of course, this looks a little futuristic. That's not really what I was going for, so I'd pick another. Orbiton, that's not the one I want yet. Here's sort of a decorative one. That looks a little more 3rd century, which is when he lived. Of course, this I don't care for this futuristic look up here. I'll go back with that 3rd century look.
Did you leave off Lana's name because you put her as a second?
Definitely, she should. Yeah, since she was second, and I want her for sure on the cover.
So you would have to put.
So there, I just typed it there. Eric and Lana Elder. Right, and the same. Now it's changed it on the side. It says Eric and Lana Elder too. I could upload a picture here. You just change the image, click to edit, upload from my computer. So I can just grab a picture from my computer, from my pictures. Of course, I'd want one with Lana too. Here on the back, because this was actually her idea for A Christmas Story, and 25 years ago. And we wrote a book about it called St. Nicholas the Believer. And then we're turning it into a movie. So that was our next step, was turn it into a stage play or music. And there's this text for the author's bio, and then the same, this could be the description, a little bit more, whatever, Nicholas, he did this, and this, and this, and this, and this. This is why you'd want to buy this. It's great for kids and families, and everyone will love putting on this show. Now, I still don't like Nicholas being on the left behind the words. I'd want him to be on the right, so I just grabbed it and I'm dragging.
Oh, that's better.
Okay. Now we've got something here. Of course, those colors are terrible on the back, so I'll have to change the colors. And there's all of that here. Choose the colors. So instead of this, I could click a different color scheme altogether. This is a blue color scheme, or this is a green color scheme. And so they've picked a few colors that look nice, and you can just scroll through all these different color schemes. If you don't like these colors, I think you can pick and click a primary color, and you can pick from any of these. So I'd rather have my primary color be like some striking blue. Say, yeah, let's pick a blue. And then the secondary color, you see where it's black? I want the secondary color. It's over here, and you just click on it. I want that to be, let's say, green or something. Not what I really want. And then the yellow is horrible with this, so for my all text, I'm going to make it all white. Let's make it all white. Much prettier. not done, I'd still want to do some adjustments. So that's one way to do it too. You could just go up there and say, I like them to do it. You can click preview. This is the cover then, how it would look wrapped around your book. Save and submit. So I could push save and submit. I'm actually not going to submit it because I don't want this cover and I don't want to accidentally be stuck with this cover. So, but you see how it works. You just, or you can click start over. Are you sure you want to start over? Yes. And you can pick a whole different starting point. Maybe you'd rather have this change the pink to blue. If that one just got too crazy, you could just switch to another thing. So, and then when you're done, you just back out of it, say you're done, and we're back to our home screen. Continue setup, I can just go right back into this all. All right, thanks so much for coming. We'll do it all again next month.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great. Thanks, Tanya. Good to see you, Elizabeth. Bye-bye. Bye, Karen.